A Giants podcast for Giants fans
By Giants fans.
from the offseason through the wins and the losses. It's time to take one Giant step.
All right, welcome into One Giant Step. We're back from the bye week. Shaun, Morash, Bryce, Gelman here with you. The Giants for the
Wait.
What?
I have something to say. I'm sorry to interrupt your usual open of One Giant Step. Shaun, I have to congratulate you. This is big career news that you will be the Evan and Tiki show with Shaun Morash. Congratulations. Big honor, dude. Very, very well deserved. And I'm looking forward to actually being able to listen to you now, considering the fact that I work from 2 to 6. So good news for me, good news for you.
Thank you, Bryce. I mean, personally speaking, look, obviously I'm excited. It is an opportunity to, above anything else, to see my family more. Yeah. I get home a lot of times 8 o'clock at night. My kid's very young, getting ready for bed. So I'm very cool. Missed a lot of T-ball games last year. To do that, I am somebody that on my previous iteration, when I worked for the DA show, CBS Sports Radio, I worked overnights, I worked evenings, I worked middays, I worked mornings. The only thing I never did nationally was work afternoons. So getting to do that with Evan and Tiki, I can officially say I've worked every shift there is to work in radio, both behind the scenes and on air. So yeah, middays, obviously from a lifestyle, really cool, really awesome. But with that, Bryce, as I had posted on Instagram and Facebook, I have no problem admitting this. I'm struggling with like the idea of like, yes, the Evan and Tiki show with Shaun Morash, because, just from like the business side of things, it's kind of ironic because we're constantly calling for Joe Shane's firing or Brian Dable's firing. So like, I understand the hypocrisy that comes with this, but look, Sal and BT are two friends of mine. They just are. Like, there's no way to hide it. And whatever you might have thought of them, good or bad, I love those guys. They are friends, colleagues, guys who gave me a lot of good advice over the years. And I'm certainly from a personal level having a hard time celebrating the idea of going to middays because it pains me to lose those guys, seeing them every day as friends. So I just want to say that. That being said, I'm obviously excited about the direction of WFAN and the station, and the lineup we have is, incredible. We built a lot at the Evan and Tiki show to anchor down middays, and anytime you add a Craig Carton, it's like adding a huge football free agent, right? When we do Giants podcast, right? It's like, go out in there and the big quarterback's a free agent, and then of course the morning show, Boomer and Gio. So and congrats to my guy Tommy taking overnight. So I'm excited about the lineup, but yeah, I'm struggling with the idea of like, I appreciate the thanks. I got friends that are not going to be with us full time anymore, and that sucks. And the previous spot I was at, CBS Sports Radio, and that turned Infinity Sports Network. That is a network is ceasing to exist as of the end of this month. And Westwood One Sports is launching their own sports network, of which a couple of longtime colleagues will be taken care of, but far too many, Bryce, far too many friends, some of which have been guests in previous iterations of this podcast, all are currently having a hard time, man, struggling not to find work. So I didn't mean to bring down the podcast.
It's a tough industry.
It is, man. It is, man. And I appreciate the congrats, and I'm not trying to bring down the podcast by any means, but I'm just being real. Like, as exciting a time as this is for me professionally, it also is kind of like that feeling of like making a roster, because there's a lot of guys not making the team right now. And I feel for those guys. So 2026 will continue. Now, as far as the podcasting goes, Bryce, you and I trudge on here. We're going to have a big off season after these last 4 weeks, right? With a coach search. Let's see a potential GM search. We'll have free agency. We'll have the NFL draft, obviously, which got a minor tweak, 8 minutes between first round picks. So if the Giants trade back, you got plenty of, or I guess less time to figure that out. So that's cool. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon coming in January. And obviously all my work, if you catch me over as well, will continue. Bryce and I will probably have to figure out new recording schedules as my work hours get changed.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We always do. We always do. But I appreciate the kind words. But, with that, I had to say those things because there's a lot of guys who aren't getting great news in the industry right now. And I feel for them. With that, fire Joe Shane, right?
But let's talk about something we can all agree on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Bryce, look, the bye week came and went, and it's kind of ironic. So, like, full disclosure, Bryce and I are recording this on a Thursday night, and I just dealt with like a stupid Long Island Railroad train delay. and it just kind of derailed me. And there's been a lot emotionally the last 2 days with like the lineup change becoming announced and me kind of fine tuning things with my contract. So like a lot of personal life stuff. But overall, I went for a really long jog with my dogs. I did 3 miles, what I like to get the dogs out for. But I usually do that on the weekends. I usually just straight up Peloton, go to the gym during the week. I know, insert fat jokes here, but I had like a good like mental cleanse run on Wednesday. And I said to myself, man, I feel really sharp mentally today. And I realized it's because I hadn't had the weight of just frustration of watching the Giants on me. Like I live and die with this team.
Yeah.
And I think because, look, I do 2 podcasts. I do this one, obviously, and I do Talking Giants. I talk about the Giants for a living, also on a radio show that we just talked about. Woe is me, right? I mean, far more of you guys as listeners work far more difficult jobs on a day-to-day. But I think talking about it in 3 different areas, going through this hellscape yet again of this season.
Dude, I don't think anyone would tell you that, like, you're invalid for saying that. Like, yeah, people have harder jobs. But I think everyone could understand talking about that team constantly over, each week by week by week for 18 weeks. It adds up. I think
it does, man. It does, man. So, look, this is where I'm at. I needed the mental break. And I think the bye week, when you want to talk about Giants football, man, this bye week happened at the ideal right time. 4 weeks left. We don't have that much more to get through with this godforsaken season. And away we go, Bryce Gelman. So with that, the other thing I want to say, because you and I did this a lot last year, and we had the Giants win over the Colts. And I have thought long and hard about this. And I'd like to think that everybody can grow, right? And you can learn from things. Just because you say something one year doesn't make sense the next year. The truth is, Bryce, follow along with this, and you could argue me if you want. I am not going to do a podcast over the next 4 weeks where I am actively rooting for a tank. Now, before everybody yells and goes down my throat, let me just explain. I have learned superstitions don't exist. Rooting doesn't matter.
It's easy for you to say this, Mr. Sweep.
Well, I'm just saying it's the truth. But here, Bryce, hear me out. As a Giants fan, you should not tell another Giants fan what they should be rooting for, because the truth is, when we sit down on the couch and we watch the Giants play the Marcus Mariota Commanders on Sunday, and we'll get into all our picks and all of this stuff, whether you root for a win or whether you root for a loss for those 3 hours, you have no impact on actually what happens on the field. I say that to say, I think this is a logical explanation. If you think it is in the best interest for the Giants to lose these last 4 games, I cannot argue against that, because being able to have the first overall pick and get a haul of picks, I think if that was the end result of the season, knowing we sat through it, I think most of us, once the games are cleared, would be thrilled with that. But rooting for a loss this Sunday versus the Commanders and the Giants winning the game is only going to piss you off that you sat there and rooted for a loss. Bryce and I sat there, as most of you did, and rooted for a loss versus the Colts last year. And the Giants had arguably their most fun game of the season. There is a part of me, and especially knowing that the Giants ended up with Jackson Dart anyway, like it kind of feels like it worked out from that standpoint. There's actually a large part of me that regrets that Sunday. I do. Because I was so angry on every Giants touchdown. And we did a podcast after. You can probably go back in the archives, anywhere podcasts are available, find our Colts.
Yeah, I got claimed. I did a reaction video. I was losing my mind outside.
Losing our mind. We went nuts. Yeah. We went nuts. And why? As Giants fans, we couldn't even enjoy the players on the field giving us their best 3 hours of the year because it meant draft status. I'm not doing that this year. The Giants have their quarterback in Jackson Dart. I was in Giants Stadium in the final week of the 2004 season when the team had lost how many freaking games in a row, and Eli Manning audible to Tiki Barber, and they beat the Cowboys to end the season. And many people in that locker room will tell you that that game kind of was all right, we got the quarterback here next year. I don't want to see Jackson Dart infected with the disease of losing. I want to see him go try to win a game or two here down the stretch. If he doesn't and they're 0-4 and they have the first overall pick, great. I'm not going to go to bed angry on Sunday or do this One Giant Step podcast Sunday night angry if the Giants have lost the game, because in the end, that's when you get there. But I think you can have, as a fan, hey, sit down, root for Giants football. If they win, all right, the Giants won, the quarterback won a game, that matters. If they lose, then don't let it mentally affect you. And in the end, it's probably the best thing to do. So it's my long-winded way to say, out of the bye week, we are in full tank talk. don't yell at another Giant fan for wanting to win. Don't yell at another Giant fan for wanting to lose. But root for them to win. If they lose, who cares? They lost, and then you're not a moron, not enjoying a game like I missed with the Colt game last year, Bryce. I know I was really long-winded there, but your reaction to that?
This is where I stand on this, Shaun. I will be rooting for the Giants in every game going forward for the rest of my life. That will never happen again. What we saw last year with everyone and their mothers, I wouldn't say that. There are some idiots out there who, for whatever reason, wanted the Giants to win those games. After what happened the year before with Tommy DeVito, the 3 meaningless games in a row, the Giants could have Drake May right now. Jack Stewart is a great quarterback. He's no Drake May, and that's not the point of this, what I'm trying to say, but I thought about this earlier. I'm rooting for the Giants every game, again, for the rest of my life, but if they lose this game against the Commanders, okay, great.
Right.
Sounds good.
No biggie, as some might say.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get all up in arms about it. Oh, Dexter Lawrence did this. He didn't do that. Abdul Carter sucked again. Missed the first. The Giants are 2-11. Am I going to sit here? Are you going to sit here and nitpick what we saw, what we didn't see? We're going to be able to sit here, win or loss, and be content. Because both ways, whatever happens for the Giants in that game against the Commanders this Sunday is a positive. They win. It's a good sign going forward. They lose. Terrific. They've got a better chance of getting the first overall pick. Shaun, they have like a 10% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, even though they currently possess it. Because I think that these models see the opponents the Giants have lined up, and there are a few easy wins, and I'm going to get to this, but I do think that one of those easy wins, and this is not, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, but that's this weekend against the Commanders, and it starts here. But if the Giants want to put their best foot forward going into next year, it starts with the win on Sunday. So that's one side of it. And the other side, again, is if they lose, okay, helps them with their getting the number 1 over pick. Because I think you and I hope the majority of Giants fans out there can be reasonable enough to see the fact that if the Giants get the first overall pick, there are a multitude of teams near them in the standings, in the draft order, that need a quarterback. So the Giants in that spot are going to be able to get a haul and potentially another first-round pick next year in, from what I've heard, could be one of the deepest draft classes in recent memory. 2 first-round picks in a year like that? Is that not salivating for you? Is that not salivating for you and everyone else out there? Like, that's a massive plus. That's where I'm at, win or loss.
I'm good either way.
Nice. Borat, very nice.
Exactly. I'm good either way. And like we learned with the Giants ending up with Jackson Dart, in the end, like, things tend to work themselves out. They just do.
Yeah, I at the time, I got flamed. I got clowned.
No, I was the same way, Bryce. I was with you.
Just like, we know that the Giants are like this. We know their history. We know that stuff like this happens constantly. Listen, if the Giants, were in a better spot the year before, if they were a better spot in previous years of my life, I'm a young Giants fan, they've done this every single year, then I'd be fine with it. But the fact that we saw it after what we saw last year, the year before, with Tommy DeVito, I think that's just like, that made it 10 times worse. Yeah. That compounded the issue because of Tommy DeVito.
So I guess my summarization before we kind of get into just a couple of quick bullet points I want to hit here before we get into our little segment stuff at the end is, don't get your hopes up. If your hopes are up for the number 1 pick, don't get your hopes up until 4 weeks have passed, because my guttural reaction, and I'm guessing it's Bryce's, and if you were real to yourself as a human being, your guttural reaction is the Giants are not getting the first overall pick. That Raider game sits there in 3 weeks. This Commander game is, we'll see. The Vikings, McCarthy stinks. And then who the hell knows with the Cowboys in that last game? Like, who the hell knows? I remember.
They could win all 4.
Yeah, they could lose all 4. They could win all 4. Like, nothing is going to surprise you. But, like, my gut tells me the Raiders are probably ending up with Fernando Mendoza picking.
Let me throw my hat into this argument. I know we want to get to whatever.
Yeah.
If the Giants lose out, everyone wants Joe Shane gone, right? Everyone.
Yeah.
I said this to someone. I think it's 99-1. I have not seen a single person on social media, on the WFAN YouTube comment section, like, no matter where the Giants fans exist, I have not seen one single Giants fan advocating for Joe Shane to come back. So if it's 99-1, Giants fans, I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to everyone out there, including Shaun. You really going to care if they lose out? Because if they lose out, even more of a reason for John Maurer to fire Joe Schoen. If that's what you want at the end of the day,
Sure.
It's good both ways. Not just with Joe Schoen getting fired, but the Giants have the number 1 overall pick. So, like, obviously, I understand Giants fans out there, most of them, hopefully, are not going to be rooting for them to lose when they already have their quarterback. But if they do, Joe Schoen's gone, and the Giants get the number 1 overall pick. Like, can it get any better than that? I don't think so.
You're right. Although it's kind of frightening to me, like the decision on Joe Schoen should be made before these 4 games, but we don't even have enough time. That could take an hour to debate that with this organization. It's insane. So Bryce, let's play a little impromptu game called Big Deal, No Big Deal. I'll get your response. Let's try to do these quickly instead of going long diatribe. The Giants, over the bye week, fired defensive line coach Brian Cox, and we find out the final straw, according to Dan Duggan, was that Mike Kafka changed the seating arrangements on the way home from New England to make the assistant coaches, instead of sitting in the front of the plane, sit in the back of the plane. Bryce Gelman, big deal or no big deal?
No big deal. Come on. We're really going to be up in arms about the situation. Cox was a Dable guy. The writing was on the wall. He was going to leave either way. I think that this was his, like, you know what? I've had enough. Like, I'm here. Yeah. I need to be here to find a way to resign from this team. Or, and like, here's the thing. Like, he asked for it. If he really wanted to keep his job, he could have kept his job. He should have been fired either way, considering the fact that the defensive line has been atrocious. It's been terrible. We thought going into this season that it was going to be their biggest facet. And Shaun, it's been their Achilles heel. Almost. You can kind of say that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Bryce Gelman not playing the game quickly, like I had said, folks.
Sorry, but here you went like 20 minutes to start this episode. I got like 3 words in. I said congratulations, and you went on 30 minutes.
Well, I didn't know you were doing that. That's on you.
I'm sorry for bringing that up. I'm sorry for congratulating my podcast partner.
No, I appreciate
for getting a very good honor in his life. God forbid, man. Jeez.
Very funny. Yeah, by the way, no big deal for me. Brian Cox is going to be fired at the end of the year anyway.
Dang, dude.
So who cares? I will just say my other quick anecdote that I think is sort of a big deal. Mike Kafka has no idea what he's doing, because to me, like, changing the seating arrangements on the flight or the meeting time stuff, which again, I blame Abdul Carter for meeting it, but like, it sounds to me as if Mike Kafka wanted to come up with little ways to change the way in season the Giants did things to show he was different as a head coach. And it feels like he's doing nonsense, right? Like changing seating arrangements on play. It's so stupid. So he's lost. Okay, big deal or no big deal? The way Mike Kafka is coming across in Hard Knocks in 2 episodes.
I mean, no big deal considering the fact that he's not going to be the Giants head coach after the next 4 weeks. So no big deal, but he looks like an idiot. Like, he's
okay.
I don't know. What about you?
I'm going big deal from this standpoint. Like, yeah, you're right. He's gone at the end of the year, and it's probably a good thing that we're getting these cameras on it. But I think a big deal from the terms of it's freaking alarming how unqualified he is at addressing a room for a guy that was a finalist for him to be a head coach with the New Orleans Saints and Seattle Seahawks. And I don't think it's a matter of the Giants simply stinking and this room being out of it. I think if this was an 8-2 team where a coach had to take a leave of absence and Mike Kafka was taking over, you'd be alarmed if that was kind of the footage you got. He is so Look, he might be a good X's and O's guy. He cannot command a room. And I think we've learned that. And before anybody goes, well, it's Hard Knocks, we can tell from that. Let me tell you something. I've watched all the Hard Knocks. You know the crappy head coaches from the good head coaches, at the way they address players and stuff. He's not fit for it. So big deal because of the alarming, like, the Giants named him the assistant head coach. I'm scared to death that was even a job title yet.
What does that say?
Yeah.
No one wanted to work with Dable. They had to give him a raise. They had to change his position just so he stayed.
Yep.
And that's the guy. That's the guy that they paid extra to stay to coach with Brian Dable. That says a lot about Brian Dable and no one else, in my opinion.
Big deal or no big deal? The Giants waived Ray McLeod.
Oh, huge deal. Biggest deal of the year.
We did so much broadcasting on Ray McLeod. Of course, it's a big deal.
For like 5-10 minutes. That was.
But nonetheless, we were all excited about that. We're like, oh, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. School year football. What an insane bust of a pickup Ray McLeod was.
What do you think, man? You think he was going to come and be the second coming of Victor Cruz? Come on.
No, it's not that, and it's not. By the way, it's not a big deal, but it's more funny than anything. To me. Okay, big deal, no big deal. Giants claim Scotty Miller off the waiver wire.
Yeah, come on. It's season changing. Come on. Scotty Miller. What a name.
Well, maybe we throw a little peg. Maybe he's on the roster for next year.
He's a fun player. He's a fun player. He's scrappy.
Okay. Can I give you a semi-big deal on this?
Yeah.
Just hear me out. Scotty Miller won a Super Bowl, made some plays with the Tom Brady Bucks. He hung around in Tampa. This is why I'm calling it semi-big deal. Scotty Miller could be gone in 4 weeks. I really haven't looked this far into it, but to claim him on waivers, it's a big deal from this standpoint. The Giants need turnover in this locker room with guys who get winning rooms. And if Scotty Miller hangs around at the camp next year, maybe makes the team as a fourth receiver, the room needs a cleansing. And Scotty Miller, we could laugh at this take in 4 weeks. Scotty Miller is at least an attempt to change, to constantly change the pieces from losing players infected by losing to a guy who got how to win. That's all. I'm not expecting him to come in and be Odell Beckham Jr., but it's just more of a personality change. So that's why I'm calling it a semi-big deal. Giants are going to need more of that in 2026.
You're insane. You're insane.
No, but Bryce,
think about this.
Bryce, the Giants are going to sign a couple players and they're going to have draft picks. They're also going to have basically 2/3 of the roster are going to be back-end guys. I am done with back-end lumping losing turds. Give me back-end guys that at least have some semblance of not being here infected. That's what I'm saying. I'm not out to tell you it's a big signing in terms of on the field. It's a semi-big deal because the Giants are understanding they are infected all over the place with guys who are just from losing culture.
Next year, they need to bring in guys who actually can contribute. Who won the back?
By the way, totally agree.
I know you agree. Yeah, just saying.
Totally agree. But it's worth having a guy like that in the room, and let's see what happens next year. What was the other one I had? Oh, big deal or no big deal? Suddenly, Jamie Gillen's hurt, and the Giants signed the punter that looked like Bill Burr that played for the Texans.
Dude, what the F?
Yeah.
What is wrong with this team and special teams? It's like a curse at this point. The Giants had a chance to potentially, I'm not going to say beat, but compete with the Patriots. And the reason why it wasn't a close game was because their special teams. Of course, we know what happened with Graham Gano, with Young Wei Koo in the worst attempt at a field goal in NFL history, and that's not hyperbole. And now the punter, by the way, he's been terrible. He's been awful, and I've been on his ass on Twitter. He's been terrible, missing the kickoff zone, shanking punts. Good riddance. Talk about an overhaul. This entire special teams unit, the coaches, and of course, if they bring in a new coach, it's going to be a completely different coach and personnel. This needs to end. I'm done with this. Big deal with Joe Shane. If he plays, huge deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Big deal because I think the Giants needed a wake-up call. Jamie Gillen's really not that good. He just isn't. So maybe go be a better punter than Jamie Gillen and put something on tape here and at least kind of turn that over. Bryce, that was our first ever edition of One Giant Step.
I like that.
No big deal.
I like that. Let's make that a thing. Let's do that.
I liked it too. You know what? It's going to be a good off-season thing because we're going to get rumors and we can play big deal, no big deal with rumors and stuff like that. That was totally organic. I had no idea I was doing that. I thought of it 30 seconds before it came out of my mouth.
It worked.
Proud of myself. All right, let's get to fantasy versus reality. By the way, that beat the hell out of previewing a game between two crappy teams here. The last time these teams played, opening day, I was in Washington, D.C.
I forgot that.
Far different vibes. Okay, so let me just set the table here before we play fantasy versus reality and overall. The Giants have not been swept in back-to-back seasons by the then Redskins, now Commanders, since the 1981 and 1982 seasons. Before I was born, before Bryce was born, before the Giants have ever won a Super Bowl in their history. That is how long it has been before the Washington Redskins, Commanders, football team, all of that, swept the Giants in back-to-back years. So the Giants are looking to avoid that. Kind of an incredible stat, Bryce, when you think about that long and knowing that you play a team twice a year and thinking about how long the Eagles and Cowboys losing streaks have been.
Years with Joe Theismann, the Giants, they didn't beat the Giants twice, really?
But bro, think about it.
It's crazy.
They haven't beaten the Cowboys seemingly in forever, or at least Dak Prescott in forever. They always lose to the Eagles. That's kind of crazy. It's been that long for Washington to do it to the Giants. So that's what the Giants are looking to avoid. There is one thing still on the table for the Giants the rest of the year, and it's a very minimal thing, but big deal, no big deal. It's this. Jackson Dart beat the Philadelphia Eagles in his first start. Jackson Dart did not start versus the Commanders or the Cowboys. Those were Russell Wilson starts to start the year. You know, we talk a lot about Dak Prescott owning the Giants, and we'll get to that in 4 weeks when we do that preview podcast. Very little thing, but beating these division rivals are something at the end of the year when you kind of go through, hey, did you do this year? Did you do that? Jackson Dart beating each of the three division rivals and kind of getting that gorilla off his back or elephant off his back or piano off his back
Chip off the shoulder? No, that's
I'm not even calling it a big deal, but it's just like it's another narrative you don't have to chase as the years go on. Like, he's never beaten the Washington Commanders. He's never beaten the Dallas Cowboys. So that's out there. And that's an opportunity here this week for Jackson Dart, who again did not start versus either the Commanders or Cowboys. Those were in those Russell Wilson games to start the year. So, Bryce, in our fantasy versus reality segment, here we are, Giants well rested. In fact, if you go to some of the odds books here, the sports books, the top 3 touchdown odds in this game are all New York Giants, not a single Commander list in the top 3. You got Singletary, you got Tyrone Tracy, and I think it's Jackson Dart. So just kind of shows you when was the last time we saw that. Giants, we're going to make our game pick in a little bit of well. They are favored in this game, 2.5 points. So here's the fantasy versus reality portion for me. My fantasy play in this game, I'm going to old reliable in Theo Johnson here.
God damn it, dude.
No, but here's the deal, man. This is, I think, the league's worst ranked pass defense, if not second of the league's worst pass defense. And you want to talk about Slayton and Wandell, and you want to have fun with that. That's fine. Theo Johnson in these final 4 games, if I'm ranking like the 5 Giants I want to see the most out of in the final 4 games, like obviously Jackson Dart's 1 and Abdul Carter's 2. And some people might even say Abdul Carter's 1 and Jackson Dart's 2. Theo Johnson might be 3. Because in reality, I don't need to see more out of Darius Slayton. I don't know if Wandell Robinson is going to be here. Sure, there's certain guys on the defense I want to see more of. But Theo Johnson had a tumultuous situation with drops. He added one more back in that New England game after being a little bit on a hot streak there for
that was a tough catch. That was
tough catch. I agree.
Not as bad as the ones earlier in the season.
Yeah, and he showed up in toughness and defending his quarterback on Monday Night Football. But I really think that the Jackson Dart to Theo Johnson tight end connection, the rest of the way, is something to keep an eye on and grow. Every room is open to be improved in the offseason. The Giants are not a good enough team not to have any of those improvements, but it would be nice to end the year feeling like, you know what, Theo Johnson is a tight end 1. And that's something I really don't want to have to address in the offseason. And that means holding onto the football and making plays for your quarterback. And I think that starts this week. Does he get in the end zone? I hope so. I think he's going to have 4 or 5 catches in this game. Give me Theo Johnson in the fantasy segment. Bryce, you know what? I'm just going to go into reality. Then you go to the fantasy versus reality. Then we'll do the Bryce Is Right in the picks.
That's what we usually do.
I feel like I flip-flopped a couple times. No, we haven't done this year because of the bye week. All right, the reality portion of this. Look, here's the reality of the game. Don't turn the football over. If Jackson Dart's not turning the football over, they're going to score on the Washington defense on Sunday. That much I'm convinced of. I'm interested to see if Tim Kelly and Mike Kafka pull a more, reserved game plan, conservative game plan with Jackson Dart not having them like run the ball as much and here and that. But if you don't turn the ball over, I think the Giants are going to score 24, 27, 30, 31, 34 points in this game. And then it's just a matter of, is the defense going to quit tackling? Because Washington can still run the football even with Marcus Mariota. If they quit and it's an effort issue off of the bye week, man, these last 4 games are going to be really, really ugly. If the Giants are going to have an inspired effort at any point in these last 4 games, you would think it is this game off the bye week where like they just at least they get punched in the mouth. Maybe that totally crumbles the last 3 weeks. Don't have effortless tackling on defense and don't turn the ball over on offense. And honestly, that is a pretty simple recipe to beating this Washington Commander team. Bryce, take it away.
Theo Johnson. Get it over with. I got Theo Johnson. Everything you said, I'd like to give you analysis, but you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I think this is for the second week in a row. The reality of the game, Jackson Dart can't get concussed. Like that. I look at both these teams. The Vikings just beat the Commanders 31-0. The Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, but J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy-led team beat the Commanders by 31 points. Jackson Dart can't get concussed. Can't put Jameis Winston into this game, even though I think Jameis Winston would easily beat them as well. Jackson Dart getting concussed would completely take the wind out of the sails of this team, and I think limit their chances to win the game. That's all I got. I mean, we could talk about the defense. Every single freaking week I sit here and tell you the reality of the game is that the Giants get to the quarterback. They don't do it. They don't do it. It doesn't happen. The Giants win this game if Dart doesn't get concussed. That's all I got. Or if the defense collapses on an unbelievable magnitude. 10 on the Richter scale.
10 on the Richter scale. Okay.
Yeah.
How about little Bryce Is Right here?
All right, I got some stats to back this up. All right, Bryce is right. Bryce is right for the week, and this is kind of just like the stats are going to underline how good I think the Giants are and how it obviously doesn't reflect itself in the schedule and the record. But my Bryce is right of the week is the Giants are going to get 2 takeaways in this game, and this is going to lead me into the game pick. But I think the Giants are going to win by 20 points. I don't think that's hyperbole. I think they're going to blow the Commanders out. If the Vikings were able to do it, obviously it's fluid, and there's no guarantee that the Commanders are going to play as poorly this week as they did last week. There's no guarantee. But look at this Giants team. Look at their record. Yeah, 2-11. That sucks. But when you look at what has happened, and I'm just going to stick with the 5 games, which the Giants blew the double-digit leads on the road. The Giants, those teams, the 5 teams that they lost to, the combined record was 37-27-1. Obviously, one of those teams being the number 1 seed of the AFC and the Broncos, and you have to take into account that includes the Saints, who are 3-10. In all of those games, Shaun, in every single one of those games, they had 8 total sacks. 8 total sacks. In 5 games, they should have won 8. 8 total sacks. And it gets worse. Here's the thing. They had 2 total takeaways. 2 takeaways. And they turned the ball over 10 times in those games. You don't think the defense can get beat here, right? Like, they cannot get beaten as bad as they've gotten beaten. All of those games, they've averaged in all those games 435 yards per game. So you're telling me that the Giants offense is going to play so bad against this beaten down Commanders team who just got absolutely, I was going to say something I probably shouldn't say, that got butt, you know what, by the Vikings. You're telling me that the Giants defense is going to allow 35 points and lose this game in the fashion they lost all those other games? I don't buy it. The Giants are going to get 2 takeaways. Finally, and listen, I can't sit here and tell you, because I've done this in the past, the Giants are going to get to the quarterback. There's no guarantee. Oh, Cox is gone. Now they're going to get to the quarterback. There's no absolutes here, right? We're not going to sit here. They remove one guy. They're going to get to the quarterback now. They've got to finish sacks. I don't think that's going to be the be-all, end-all when it comes to the Giants winning or losing this game. But that's the Bryce is right. They're going to win by 20, and they're going to have two interceptions. So let's do game pick. I might as well just go first. Exactly.
Giants, by the way, Giants 2.5-point favorites.
Yes. So I have the Giants winning, and I actually have them winning 31-10. So 21-point win. I haven't picked them to win by double digits, I don't think, all season long. Maybe once. I feel like I'd have to go back into the archives. My record sucks. It's terrible. I'm 3-9, Shaun. 3-9. Or no, 3-10. Right? They played 13 games. So yeah, I think I'm 3-10, which is hard to believe. I put my money where my mouth was last week, and I lost money on the Giants, and that's why I shouldn't be betting on my own teams. But they win by 21. I hopefully get a +1 on the front of that number. The wins.
Okay. So Bryce has them 31-10. All right. So 2.5-point favorites. Here's the deal. Here's where I'm at. I can't throw a pebble and hit somebody that doesn't like the Giants in this game. Can't find one. Commanders have lost all this in a row. Giants bye week. It's funny what a bye week could do. Take the stench off you. Jackson Dart, another week rested, all of that. I think the Giants are going to score in this game. It's hard to imagine that Commander defense being up for the task and Jackson Dart being pumped up, all of that, going to make plays. Here's the issue. Hard Knocks is giving me major alarm bells, man. This defense looks completely disengaged in these meeting rooms. Is that a silly comment to make? Maybe, but also we're seeing this. Bryce, the Giants have won 2 games, and everybody in the world just assumes they're winning this game. Based on what?
It's the Giants. They're going to win this game because it's a meaningless game, and it's going to screw them in the draft order.
Yeah,
and the Commanders, by benching Jaden Daniels, have signaled to you what they want to do here.
Spoiler alert, the Giants are losing this game Sunday. 34-31 outright. The Giants are going to tease you for the first pick and then beat the Raiders in 2 weeks to piss us off more because we're going to actually dream it with 2 weeks left. It cannot be that easy. I've gambled on too many football games to understand it can't be that easy. I can't find anybody that likes the Commanders. So with that, knowing the intel and understanding the gambling world, the Giants favored in a game at 2-11 when they look like they quit versus New England 2 weeks ago. Jackson Dart will score. The Giants will have a lead in the fourth quarter, and the Giants will blow a lead in the fourth quarter because that's what their DNA is. And the Commanders have a moment where the Giant defense, again, looks weak as you know what, tackling. Giants lose the game outright 34-31. We talk about how it's a win-win in the end because, Dart played well, the offense played well, but you know what? You lost. You're that much closer. We tease. We'll see what happens with the Vikings. And then the Giants absolutely beat the Raiders, just like they beat the Colts in the second of last week. They pick third in the draft, and we scream and yell, rinse, repeat. It's another Giant season. They lose 34-31. How do you like that, Bryce? Did you see that coming? Did you see me picking them losing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. I could sense that because I knew exactly where you were going with that line. Everyone does that. Oh, but no one bet. I get it. I mean, it's a trap.
Yeah.
Trap.
Well,
I get
we'll see. The good news is, Bryce, on Sunday night when we recap the game, one of us will have been right.
Yeah.
So
that is how it works.
Yeah. One of us will have been right.
I mean, listen, if they somehow lose the game by if they lose the game by they win the game by 2.5 points. Then I guess we're going to tie. You never know.
21-20. I guess that's possible. All right. So Bryce and I will be back some point Sunday night, Monday morning. You'll catch us. Download, subscribe to One Giant Step everywhere podcasts are available. Look, I was exhausted when this podcast started. We still pumped out that good little pod there. And we stumbled on a good little game there, too, heading into the offseason.
And congratulations again, Shaun.
Bryce,
deserved.
Thank you very much. All right. We'll see you on the recap episode on One Giant Step.